This original WSRE presentation is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
Recognizing the warning signs and preventing suicide. That's the topic of tonight's broadcast. An important edition of inStudio is straight ahead. Suicide is a complex problem. Research finds that some 90% of cases involve mental health issues and/or substance abuse. There are almost always multiple causes that may not have been recognized or dealt with, even though these illnesses are treatable in most instances. On this edition of inStudio, we seek to inform you about the warning signs and causes of suicide in our culture, trends in rates, and recent advances in treatment. We welcome to our discussion Rachelle Burns. Rachelle coordinates the Pensacola State CARES project. CARES stands for Crisis Action Referral Effort for Students. Rachelle has been involved with suicide prevention since 2012 when PSC was awarded the Garrett Lee Smith Campus Suicide Prevention Grant, which gave birth to the CARES project. Through this, she has been able to train over 400 people as gatekeepers. That teaches them how to recognize those at risk for suicide as well as how to respond. And as a result of this work, in 2015, Rachelle Burns became the Region 1 Director for the Florida Suicide Prevention Coalition. Connie Bookman. Connie is the founder and CEO of Pathways for Change. A licensed clinical social worker, Connie holds several degrees and over the years has served terminally ill clients and their families, developed support groups for patients with all kinds of mental health and medical needs. And in 1992, she spearheaded the only residential treatment program in this area for single homeless women. The Waterfront Rescue Mission embraced this 12-month, 4-phase program and continues to thrive today. In 2004, Connie Bookman founded Pathways for Change. That's a faith-based addictions treatment program that became a viable sentencing option in Escambia County. It continues today, saving lives as well as tax dollars. Tabitha Nichols. Tabitha is a United States veteran. She was wounded while serving overseas at a very young age. Today, she works as a board director for the Community Action Program and the Center for Independent Living's Disability Resource Center. Tabitha is also working with Pathways for Change in their pilot program, providing access to justice for the working poor and people in poverty through the Florida Bar Association. Tabitha has an interesting history, very relevant to our discussion, and she will share that with us shortly. And Sweneda Berrian. Sweneda is an outpatient mental health therapist who works with the adult outpatient counseling program at Lakeview Center. Sweneda has been working in the mental health field with Lakeview for about 13 years. She's become a bit of a sought-after spokesperson for Lakeview, primarily on the topic of suicide. She's well-versed on the subject at hand, providing outpatient counseling to our community members dealing with life's challenges. She also works part-time, completing intake screening with Lakeview's inpatient crisis unit. So we welcome each of you to the panel today, this evening. Appreciate it very much. So you've all taken time out of your schedules because this is an important topic, and you each bring something different to the table completely, I think, but all working with the same goals and thoughts and knowledge in mind. Sweneda, with that, I'll start with you. Tell me how you got involved in this and a little bit more about what you do, please.
I got involved because early on in life I knew that helping people was something that I was passionate about, and it continues to be that way. As a clinician, I've been a clinician now for about 3 years, and I've been also a case manager, a behavioral tech, so I've worked in different populations with children and now with adults in an outpatient setting, providing therapy to individuals in distress. Building awareness for mental health awareness and suicide prevention is something I think that's important for us to talk about year-round, to know that there's intervention, that there's help, can keep somebody from considering and following through. So it's a part of my team at Lakeview and my own personal vendetta to build that awareness and make sure our community knows that there's help for them available.
And we want to talk much more about that throughout the broadcast. we will definitely do that. Connie, reading through everything that you've done, you've been helping people your whole life, and I read something about even helping quadriplegics at one point that were under 50 living in nursing homes. You've seen all of life's struggles, and that's led to Pathways for Change.
Mm-hmm. There's always a solution. So I've been in this business because my heart breaks for people that are in darkness, and that's why this topic is so important today, because that's what someone who considers suicide, there's just no turning back for them. They feel it's actually seems in the work I've done, it's almost as if it's a gift to the family and their loved ones. So we need to talk today about what to look for and the solutions, because there is a way out.
We appreciate that very much, and we will definitely talk more about that, because that's a very strong piece of this. Rachel, you've been helping a lot of people recognize the warning signs. Tell us about how you got involved.
Well, initially I just started helping students at the college who were struggling with life circumstances and difficulties. And then in 2012, the college was awarded the Garrett Lee Smith Campus Suicide Prevention Grant, and I was asked to help with that. And as a result of that, we were able to implement gatekeeper training, which assists individuals with learning to recognize the warning signs for someone who may be at risk for suicide, and also learning how to respond to them and how to refer them to the resources that are available. Because a lot of times people just don't realize that the smallest thing that they can do, just putting their arm around someone or listening, and then helping them get connected with help is pretty easy to do, and people, I think, often feel very intimidated by it.
So you offer additional training for that, as well as some very basic understanding and training.
Yes.
Yes. And Tabitha, you are serving on a number of boards now, and things seem to be looking really good for you. But you've had a rough go of it. Tell us how you got to where we are today.
So my post-military career consisted of me just struggling very hard with PTSD and not even knowing I had it. But once I finally got help, I was able to, what I call turning my life around and getting off of rock bottom. And I was able to progress forward in life, and I just dedicated my life now to giving back to my community and helping my fellow veterans.
That is just wonderful. Speaking of veterans, we were talking earlier about high rates of suicide with veterans. You mentioned a number.
Yes, ma'am. 22 a day on average. Veterans commit suicide. And
that's just so acceptable. How did somebody find and help you?
It took me to find help. And pretty much when I came back, nobody wanted to talk about it, and that made it harder for me. I needed someone to pull it out of me and help me talk about it. And I was able to find, through the years, I was able to find the proper help at the VA and come around, and also find counseling in the community and talk to my brothers and sister veterans. That is a big help, having that camaraderie again.
I think people so often feel alone, and Connie, you mentioned people thinking that it's a gift. I've actually spoken with people who have lost even 2 members of their family to suicide, who have said not only is it not a gift, but it's like the meanest, worst, most terrible thing that you could do to our family. Speak to that a little bit.
Well, they don't understand, selfishly we want to keep the people we love in our family, in our life. But what we fail to recognize is the pain that they're in. We think about mental illness in a very extreme way. The person that's in an institution or homeless and collecting cans in a cart. But everyday mental illness of depression and anxiety, those obsessive thoughts of, I'll never make it, I'm never good enough. The anxiety, the social anxiety of, talking with people or asking for help. And for our veterans, if you are a soldier or if you're a Marine, if you, have served your country, you're supposed to be protecting others? How can you ask for help? And, becoming vulnerable is very difficult. So we need to find a venue to be able to bring them in.
Are we starting to find more venues, Sweneda?
I believe so. For so long, that myth of if I have a mental illness or symptoms of depression or anxiety, it was believed to be that you're defective or weak or flawed. Luckily, personally, I'm seeing as a clinician, more people are coming in and that belief is being dispelled. So I'm happy to start seeing that turnaround, but it's still there. And I think doing things like this, us talking about it, and just building awareness and just dispelling that belief that something is flawed or defective because you have a mental illness, it helps to raise that awareness and helps people to be open and honest about it. I want to build the association. If I were to break my arm right now and need a cast, I wouldn't think anything about it. I think I'm a pretty healthy person for going and getting that cast. I want that same association for individuals who start having feelings of depression or anxiety, to know that, to have that association of, a doctor, a counselor, and not feel that that's an unhealthy thing to do, but actually a very emotionally healthy help-seeking behavior.
Right. I mean, why would the mind be different than a bone, right?
Connected.
I mean, it's all connected. What about students? Unfortunately, all demographics, but a lot of students, we're hearing about a lot of students. So you think life's pressures are tougher these days? What do you think that is?
Yeah, I think, well, there's a lot of research going on at the moment. More and more every day is being discovered about the reasons behind suicide. But because it's a complex problem, it's really hard to pinpoint. And unfortunately, in society, we want easy answers. And so we often want to be able to say, well, it's this one thing, or it's not ever one thing. But I think with the demographic, 15 to 24-year-olds, suicide is the second leading cause of death. And with college students, we lose about 1,100 college students a year to suicide. And I think that there are a lot of pressures that are on young people today that maybe haven't been on them before. But I also think that there's a lot of hope. And there are a lot of treatments available that also haven't been available before. So even though the suicide rate has been increasing in most areas, unfortunately, over the last 20, 30 years, what we've seen over the last 20, 30 years is also that there's a growing suicide prevention movement trying to address those issues. And I think that we're very close to it becoming a turning point where we will start to see those numbers decline as we get the word out.
We've got about a minute before we go to break, but what, in a nutshell, when we'll talk about this several times, but what are some of the warning signs that you teach people in the Gatekeeper program? So really things that you may see that are a change in behavior. So someone withdrawing if they were formerly very active and outgoing, someone who's having rage issues where they weren't angry before, people giving belongings away and saying, well, I won't need this anymore. Those are the types of things that you might see. But there's a long list, and there's an easily available list on lots of websites, resources that we'll show later. Okay, and we will take a break right now, and we'll come back with that. When we return, we'll continue our discussion of the personal and societal implications of suicide. You're watching inStudio on WSRE. We'll be back in a moment.
As WSRE celebrates 50 years, we remember the generations of men and women who fought for our freedom. Their commitment, pride, service, and sacrifice inspired a legacy of original documentaries. Through their eyes and ears and hearts, life changed. Their memories passed on through award-winning television. Not just history, but the human cost of war. Not just heroes, but the families they left behind. Not just battles, but the communities that support the fight. Original award-winning documentaries from your public television station, WSRE, inspired by youth then and now.
Welcome back. You're watching inStudio. Our topic, the many aspects of suicide and how we are all affected as a society. Thank you for being here. The suicide rate for all demographics is way too high, and it's particularly worrisome in the veterans community. Before we move into our next segment, I'd like to play a portion of a piece that was produced recently for Pathways for Change. In it, Tabitha Nichols tells her story.
My dad was a Marine, so he traveled a lot. He was in Desert Storms, and he went to Japan for a few years. I wanted to be like a bad kick-butt soldier like my dad was. I was only 19 when I left to go there, and I didn't know what I thought I was gonna be in a safe area. Like, okay, it'd be cool. I'll just be hot. I mean, I got blown up my 3rd day at my camp. And I was like, oh, okay, it's my welcome party. Now I know how the rest of my time is gonna go. I remember putting cases of water in the truck, and there was a couple guys out there with me, and I hear like a little thud. And I turn around, I'm like, crap, where did everybody go? And then I hear boom, just a big explosion. I'm like, oh crap. The bomb, the mortar RPG, rocket propelled grenade hit maybe like 10 feet away, and the blast blew me into the concrete wall. I went back first and sprained my thoracic spine, sprained the middle of my back, dislocated and fractured my ribs. Me being helpless, my unit kind of turned their backs on me because my quote is, a broke soldier is not a good soldier. I thought about committing suicide as I was sleeping in my tent. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. If I do die over here, it was like, I don't want my parents to know it was this way. You know what I mean? I want to go out fighting. When I came back, the buses pulled up and there's all these people with signs and everything, everybody's family, and I had no one there. My mom came and picked me up like 3 or 4 days later, and I stayed with her for about a week until, maybe not even a week, till she kicked me out. She was like, you scaring the crap out of me and your little sister. Like, you need to go. I'm 20 and you're my mother, you're supposed to help me out, you know. But she was like, I wouldn't sleep. I still kept knives on me all the time. When I did sleep, I wake up screaming, and it was pretty bad.
Well, hearing another person's story can be so much more effective than just reading a statistic. Tabitha, I wanted to talk to you about how you went from that moment where you speak of abandonment to Pathways for Change. I mean, is that hard to watch?
It's emotional to watch. It still feels surreal. I don't feel like it's my story. I know I went through it, but that was a whole different time of my life. I was hopeless and lost like that for years. It took me years to come out of it. I felt like I was the only one in the world who took the war like this. Like, it seems like everybody else came back fine but me. And I struggled with that until I got the right counseling at the VA, and then I got into group therapy. And I was like, oh, you have nightmares too? So do I. Oh, you check the locks in the windows all night? So do I. And also other people who have attempted suicide, because I am a suicide attempt survivor. And so I got trained and certified in how to look for the warning signs with the Gatekeeper program. So now I am the regional suicide peer prevention mentor for the veterans in the community, and I love that.
Wow, congratulations. Talk about taking and turning your life around. And do you feel like because of your experiences that you're better able to help people?
I feel like I am. I mean, I don't regret anything. I appreciate all of my experiences, and I want to help as many people as I can. I don't want anybody to be lost or helpless or hopeless. It's a terrible feeling that nobody should have to go through. Somebody is always there for you. If you don't know anybody, I'm here for you.
Well, and we've been putting graphics up all throughout. I want to talk to Connie just a little bit about that hopeless factor, because that seems to be such a hard thing. Now you've got Pathways for Change, and you're getting ready to open a female veterans residence. Tell us about that.
Well, we decided in 2013, created a business plan for Pathways for Change, and really wanted to reincorporate residential treatment for women. And so I looked at a beautiful program in Nashville called Thistle Farms, and then a program in Miami and one in Jacksonville, and just very pensive and prayerful about what's our next step in serving women. And it was receiving a phone call from a VA case manager I've known for many years who said, Pathways for Change needs to do something about this. I'm releasing women from the PTSD unit in Biloxi and other facilities to the street. There's nowhere for them to go. And it's like, well, that's it. That's what we're going to do. And didn't realize the amount of support we were going to receive from the community and the need. I'm just overwhelmed with it. So what I'm learning, it's not the story for everyone, but many women escape a very tragic childhood and abusive situation. They escape to the military, and then 1 out of 4 receive, a military sexual trauma. So here, they got away from that and believed in the military system and are being sexually attacked by supervisors and people. It's unbelievable. 70 a day. 1 out of 4 reported. So think about the hopelessness of that. Where will I ever, have safety? And so they don't have the foundation once they reach war to cope with, what they're experiencing, what they're seeing in the battlefield. So that's where we come in, is help them get all of those negative thoughts and start healing the memories. Making peace with your past is one of the programs that we'll provide for our women at the Clinton Cox residence. So it'll be 12 veterans living, working together, running the unit, as we say. It's a therapeutic community, a sober living environment. And we already have 40 women that professionals who will be mentoring, teaching classes, and all of the services available from the Family Center. Family Center is really a hub of social services and education and vocational training. So when our veteran is ready to think about another career, they can look at certified nursing assistant. The IT program is going to be phenomenal, office assistant, commercial driver license. So it's a very exciting, hopeful future for them. Great treatment plan.
It sounds that it's very practical too, and but also very nurturing. You recently received a very nice gift from the Blue Angels.
As I said, just overwhelmed with the support, and for the Blue Angels to say, this is our home, Pensacola. All of us have served here, and the mission of the Blue Angel Foundation, Mike Campbell says, is a continuum of care from release from the military to, a productive, joyful life. And they believe that Pathways for Change can, have an impact for their mission.
I'm sure that it will. Blue Angels are also helping people in San Diego?
And so again, I've been doing this work for 35 years, and started the program for Waterfront Mission in '92, and then started our Pathways for Change program, and in looking at the research in what do these veteran women need, and then bringing that together. Mike Campbell and Bernie Willett from the foundation visited and were so impressed. It's like, really? Okay. So way ahead of our time without even knowing it, but they're only know of 2 programs, including ours, in the country that are offering such comprehensive services.
Hopefully that will be seen and replicated so that we can help veterans.
And that's our goal. We're going to be creating a database in all that we do, creating standard operating procedures and a replication series. So a year from now, we can plant that in any city.
Sweneda, this sounds wonderful. How do we let people not go under the radar and find places like this?
Yeah, it just makes me happy to hear about programs like that, because what we know about trauma and mental health in general is that it causes confusion in the brain, and people sometimes don't understand what's going on. But what therapy can do is help people to understand those thoughts and not judge them. Can help you develop resiliency and problem-solving skills. So these programs are so important. I know one thing is that sometimes people believe, or what prevents them from seeking treatment is that perhaps I don't have the finances and the high cost. the good thing about programs like Connie's and Lakeview Center and other programs in our community is that you can get help, treatment at little to no cost, because we know how important it is. And just that little bit of hope and support and development of coping skills can take somebody from that darkness to hope.
Mm-hmm. We've been obviously seeing Tabitha's testimony. We can see why veterans' rates can be so high. What are some other areas and other segments of the population that are having issues as well?
One of the leading groups, unfortunately, and have a very high suicide rate is middle-aged men over 55, particularly white males over 55, and there's still a lot of research being done in that area. But I think that one of the main reasons that they're seeing for this is that the hopelessness that you mentioned, that many times older males' identities are in their work, and as they look towards retirement, they no longer have the hope or the purpose that they maybe once had. And also the coping skills and the life skills that Sweneda mentioned, that they maybe don't have the ability to cope with issues that come their way at that point when they no longer feel they have that same identity in their workplace.
Well, it used to be, too, that seeking help for mental issues was fairly taboo. Mm-hmm. So how are we going about reaching more people? Are we being able to do that?
Sure. I mean, I know we'll provide all the resources, but there's, you Google and you have so many resources in your community, the 1-800 National Suicide Prevention Hotline. And I think just as individuals, taking time to those beliefs that we were talking about, taking time to dispel those on our own. I know for me, I have a 14-year-old daughter, and I talked to her about this topic, and even I noticed a feeling of uncomfortableness, and I had to question that. I had to look at that for myself and say, what is that about? So that age-old myth that talking about it plants the seed or encourages it, it's been instilled there, but that's something that we need to, as individuals, work through on our own so that we can openly have these discussions and normalize the fact that when I'm depressed, guess what? Sometimes it is actually a side effect, but I don't have to judge that.
Right, I think judge is a key word there. Oh, so much more to talk about, so much more ahead. You are watching inStudio on WSRE TV, PBS for the Gulf Coast. We'll be back right after this break. Stay right here.
American Graduate is proud to recognize a champion for education.
Pensacola not only has the opportunity, but the responsibility to become America's first early learning city.
Right now, we have about 3,000 children who come to kindergarten in Escambia County every year, and about 1,000 of them aren't ready.
We realized if we are going to make an impact in the community education, we would have to start when the kids are young, and we realized that kindergarten readiness was so important.
The Studer Community Institute is very focused in the birth to 5 space, and what we found was that the path to explain all of our issues with high school graduation, with 8th grade reading, with 3rd grade math, with 1st grade retention, all start really before a child ever gets to school. And what that would mean would be that not only do great preschools and child care centers embrace the power of language to build brain development, but all the aspects of our community understand the power that there is in language to build a young child's brain. And they embrace that, and they see their part in it, and we want to help them do that. And those kids, when they're ready for kindergarten, they'll be good readers at 3rd grade. And if they're on task and reading at grade level at 3rd grade, they're much more likely to graduate on time and pursue whatever higher education goals they might have.
So if we can just do one thing in this community to make it different, to make it better, it's making sure those children from the day they're born or even before they're born, the parents and everybody in the community says, we want this child to maximize their brain development and they're ready for kindergarten. Because why? Because every child deserves the best chance to be successful.
The Studer Community Institute, helping children in our community find the path to success in school and in life. For more stories of champions, visit americangraduate.org.
This is In Studio on WSRE TV. We're talking about suicide. We are seeking to reduce the stigmas that may still be associated with sharing information about this epidemic, as well as to provide hope and help. We thank our panel for being here and you for watching. We're going to talk more now about training and education to help prevent suicide. And before we get to that, I want to say that it seems like an epidemic. You were mentioning some numbers.
Well, since 9/11, we've lost 6,000 men and women in war. Since 9/11, we're losing 3,080 men and women, veterans, to suicide every year. So, you know, it's doubling and tripling every year. So 22 men and women died yesterday because of suicide. Just 22 today,
yeah,
and then 22 tomorrow. So what are we going to do about that?
Right. Tabitha, I know that with your situation, I mean, what are your thoughts on what we're going to do about that?
I don't know that there is a one solution for it. I think people need to care more. We do have more resources, like Sweneda mentioned. We have resources that don't cost a lot of money, because that's the first thing you think, oh, I don't have the money, I can't go. And even if I do, they'll just call me crazy. I mean, we have to get rid of the stigmas and the myths and talk about it like it's a healthy, normal conversation. Like you mentioned, if you break your arm, it needs to be, oh, you know what, I'm starting to feel depressed, maybe I should go see someone. Or I'm thinking of suicidal thoughts, I need to go do something about it. We have to practice self-care, like a healthy diet. We have to take care of ourselves.
These are some bad statistics. You mentioned plane crashes in public. Is this a public health issue?
I believe that actually that suicide prevention is the next big public health issue. I think that what we've seen throughout the years with issues like child abuse, for example, is that when we bring these issues into the public arena and we start talking about them and looking for ways to help prevent them, that we make a difference, because we can talk about child abuse today in a way that we couldn't 20 years ago because it was a taboo subject. And the suicide prevention is the same. We need to make sure that suicide prevention is something we discuss in the public arena. It is, it's an outrage, really, that in this day and age that we can lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, or 120 people generally in the States die. And that's the equivalent, like I mentioned to you, of a small plane crashing every day and all those passengers dying. If that happened in this country every day, there would be questions asked, there would be money put into it, there would be things that would be done to prevent it. And I do believe that there is a real movement towards suicide prevention becoming the next big public health issue, and it takes all of us talking about it and being willing to do something, even something small, learning to recognize warning signs, talking to people about how they're doing, asking them how they're doing, and actually waiting to listen for an answer.
Do you find that students are more interested in what you have to say these days? Do you think there's anybody that hasn't been affected or heard something or known somebody who's had some of these thoughts?
I think students are very interested in this subject because it does hit home. I think most people, including students, have been impacted by suicide in some way, whether it was themselves having suicidal thoughts, whether it was someone in their family or their community, in their church or synagogue, somewhere locally, a neighbor. Most of us have been impacted by suicide on some level. For every person that dies by suicide, there are about 25 people that are significantly impacted from that death. And there are about 100 or more people who are impacted in other ways. And that's a lot of lost survivors in our nation. That's millions upon millions of lost survivors. So there are lots of people who have something that they could give back to help other people in this situation.
If somebody's interested in gatekeeper training or any other kind of volunteer training, what would you suggest to those people?
The gatekeeper training that I run at the moment is solely for Pensacola State College students, faculty, and staff, but we are looking to expand that and trying to possibly offer it through our continuing education department to make it available to community members. Another thing that I'm really keen on seeing happen, and I'm hoping to get moving on this in the next year, is a suicide prevention coalition in the community where individuals like those of us at the table and others who are interested in this topic can come together, talk about what we're doing, and talk about how to leverage what we're already doing, working together to multiply the effects of these suicide prevention efforts.
To grow it. So you're working with people every day as well. You're seeing hope. Does this conversation give you hope?
Absolutely. And something I like to tell the individuals I meet is it's okay not to be okay. And so to break that silence, the more conversations we have, the more we normalize these experiences, the more people might start talking, and then we can figure out resources and problem solving skills and just the road to being our best selves.
We talk about the importance of good mental health, and a lot of times addiction is tied into this. I imagine, Connie, you see quite a lot of that at Pathways. What are your thoughts?
It's sometimes a natural progression because we talk about coping skills. You know, if you don't have a mother and a father who are mentally there for you in a healthy way, they're dealing with their own issues. You fall into peer pressure, you start using drugs at an early age, and then it has you. And the struggle that I see of the men that come into our program, you know, it's so complex. It's depression, and then the physical changes in your brain because of the drug addiction. We have a young man that was about to graduate after 18 months and so much struggle, relapsed and shot himself. Thank God survived. And so in talking with him, it's like, what did we miss? You know, we know you were struggling. You had an army around you. You know, what could we have done differently? And it's being, you know, we're maybe sometimes too polite as a professional or as a family member. And sometimes it's just grabbing you saying, you know, I'm not going to take it personally if I'm your mother, and, you know, I'm not going to say I've done a bad job because you're suffering. I'm going to bring it out. I'm not going to be afraid of that. This is not about me as your mother. This is about you who's suffering, and let's do something about it.
And what did he say specifically he felt was being missed? Did he feel that that was some of it?
He said that he wasn't doing the deal, as he said, that he was hiding from us and looking as if everything was fine. And even though we kind of knew that, you know, maybe he was skating, we couldn't put our finger on anything. So it is, you know, and here we are, this is what we do for a living. So imagine family members that don't have the training and the experience that we have. It's so easy to miss. They can pretend like everything's okay, but you know, so we've learned from that, and he's certainly learned from that. He's doing fabulous and
wonderful,
giving back and serving and being a real advocate for people with suicide.
We hear so often that serving helps ourselves. Has that been an applicable standard for you?
Serving our country?
Serving, well, that you've done, but serving other human beings and helping them, since you know what they're going through.
Yes, ma'am, indeed. It's been a big, major factor in helping the veterans and people that I help that are having mental issues or feeling down or depressed. Having gone through it myself, I kind of know what to look out for and look for in them, but I still have the training. But I know what to say to them because I knew what I wanted, and I wish someone had have said to me before I attempted and before I was lost for years. So I try to come through with the things that are relative to their situation, because it's like, I've been there and I know how you feel, and I know it makes a big difference just for someone to say, how was your day? And it seems like you get that just going in the grocery store, but you don't. You don't.
What would you have wanted people to say to you?
I would have wanted people to just simply ask, am I okay? And how I'm feeling. And not the, hey, are you okay? I'm good. No, the deepness of it. Like, no, you know what, I'm not actually okay. I'm feeling pretty bad today. Somebody who's going to care and sit there and not judge you and not tell you, oh, stop talking like that. You know, they're going to sit there and listen and have that positive reinforcement.
You know, Sherri, another thing about that, though, Tabitha would have said, no, I'm not okay. So the young man I'm talking about said, no, everything's great. I don't know what's wrong with you. Why do you keep asking me? And then, but instinctually, we know something's wrong. And so, you know, for families that have suffered a loss, you know, we say if they're not ready, if they're not able to accept, you know, if you can try everything, but that mental illness, that obsessive thought of, you know, I'm just a burden to everyone. It's very difficult.
And that's what you help treat at Lakeview, getting to the deeper issues at hand?
Absolutely. I'll comment on that. I agree with you. I believe as a society we've kind of been taught to be independent, to try to handle it on your own. And I think we need to be thinking out of that. That it does take a community sometimes. Well, the thing I want to say is with depression, we have to remember if prolonged and untreated, that can confuse our own thoughts and sometimes make us impulsive. So that's really important to remember when you're trying to do it alone. You just might not be able to. Not because you don't want to, but because you're confused enough to be impulsive and to follow through with those thoughts. So that's why we, you know, kind of preach, get help, seek help, get intervention, and we have it. We offer inpatient and outpatient counseling. The warning signs indicate that there's imminent danger, and sometimes as family members we feel like, well, they say they're okay, I don't want to bother them. If you see those imminent danger warning signs, seeking a means to harm oneself, always talking about one or writing about wanting to harm oneself, that suggests imminent danger. And family members can call the helpline as well to get support and resources to help their family member if they don't know how to do it themselves.
You know, unfortunately, families sometimes feel like they have to protect the family, right, and it's not going to look good for the family, exactly, right? And so how do we get people past that?
I would say call the 1-800-273-TALK. We have local crisis lines here, and just being honest about that. I have a family member who I'm worried about and I don't know what to do. There's help. There's ways to get them help, even if they can't see that they need it.
And if somebody is skating by and saying they're okay, what do you tell a student to do?
I usually say to them, I hear what you're telling me, but when I look at you and I see your behavior and I hear some of the things that you're saying, or I look at you the way you're looking, I really think there's something wrong, and I'm concerned, and here's what to do if you feel like you need help. And then I give them the resources anyway, even if they don't say they don't want them.
Well, we've got plenty more resources, and we've got another segment, so we'll come back and share those with our audience. You are watching inStudio on WSRE TV, PBS for the Gulf Coast. We'll continue with our topic, suicide prevention, after these messages. We're back right after this break. Welcome back. This is inStudio. Our guests this evening, all people dealing with the implications and prevention of suicide, all wanting to help others in our community and to help us understand more about suicide. We're going to talk more now about how we can all recognize the warning signs and where to go for help. So we've talked about how addictions and suicide often have a lot of the the same benchmarks, so to speak. But you know, another thing that we've been running into, I think it's been in the news certainly, is social media. How is that playing into things? And
yes, it can be problematic and powerful. I will say powerful in that when we're using social media to support suicide prevention, we want it to be one that is encouraging help-seeking behaviors, and sometimes that's not always the case. So we want to encourage individuals, if they're using social media to build awareness or to seek for help, that they use the reputable sites that have been provided today, that they look for information that is encouraging them to get help, to get better, that it's not the end, that there are solutions. If alternatively that's not the case, go to another one. It's not helpful.
Kids in schools with their phones and texting, and it's kind of, you know, trying to get it by teachers and all of that. Where do you see that going?
Yeah, we have to be particularly focused on our youth because they're more impressionable. So as adults, we want to make sure that we are providing them with resources that are appropriate and helpful, and making sure that we're monitoring that so that they're getting the right information about prevention and what to do and how to help themselves.
We've got a graphic we had up on the screen that you had provided to me about people struggling with issues. Another place they can call Trevor.
Yes, the Trevor Lifeline. So it's a project geared specifically towards youth who are in the LGBT plus community and who may be struggling, and because they are young and often feeling like they don't know who to turn to and talk to, it's really great to have a resource that's available to them, particularly.
That's wonderful. Yeah, you know, just with Snapchat and some of those different things that go away, people think that they can just write whatever they want, right?
Right.
It's just, so this is a big, again, a community issue.
That's right.
It is something also that social media sites are recognizing they have some responsibility in. Facebook actually have a way for individuals to contact and flag posts or individuals who have posted something on the site that they're concerned about, and they also look for keywords related to suicide so that they can intervene, which I think is a great step forward.
So the general public needs to care about suicide. Connie, everybody here cares about it. It's very obvious. How do we get the message out more to people? We've used the word judge. We've used the words, you know, sometimes people just, it's a cultural thing. How do we help our culture?
I think our strongest force is working with the people that have gone through the pain, maybe attempted or had lost a family member. And so, like, we teach all of our clients in Pathways for Change programming, you know, what have you walked through in your past and how are you going to be a very strong person because of it? You know, not to let it pull you down, but you're an expert now and you can get the word out. You're going to be more in tune to, you know, suicide factors. You're going to see it more clearly and to be more direct about it. So that's one way. We have a mentor program for our women in substance abuse treatment and for our veterans. It's a very wonderful 4-hour training, and then there's a support system within the mentors working with each other, maybe 2 mentors with a woman. And so a mentor is someone that isn't your therapist, it's not your clinician, you know, it's a friend to say, I've got to return something today to the department store and I just don't know if I have it in me if they say no. And well, you know what, maybe I can go with you. Or, you know what, ask for the manager. You know, it's kind of like having a strong mom or grandma, you know. So if you want to be a mentor, we'd love to have you at Pathways for Change. We are working with other mentoring programs with the Studer Institute. So we're bringing a collaboration of people that want to invest in our community. And so there's a way that you can be involved, not only in Pathways for Change, but anyone that has a mentoring program.
And so many things are coming up on the topic of suicide and prevention. Let's talk about a new local chapter, or?
Yeah, well, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention has had a chapter in the Panhandle for a while, but we haven't really had representatives or members of that chapter in the Pensacola area, and we now have that. Jamie Thurman is the chairperson for an Out of the Darkness walk, which is a walk that the AFSP promote, and they did the first one last year in October, and I think they're doing it again this October. And there's also a loss survivor walk that we have called Seeds of Hope. That's been going for several years. The Active Minds chapter at the University of West Florida usually put that on right before Thanksgiving. And then tomorrow there's an event that you were mentioning as well that's happening in downtown.
We had someone send us some information. It's in recognition rather of a young lady who took her life, and it's at Vinyl on Friday evening, July the 14th. And so if you want more information, there is a website, and it's ajsbravehearts.com. So you can check that out. So more and more groups are getting involved, which is what we've talked about, the hope being that this will be talked about and discussed more in the future. Any thoughts on people that may have missed the warning signs and have experienced loss themselves? They may have some feelings of pain, guilt, all of the above. Do we have resources available for those people?
Yeah, the Florida Suicide Prevention Coalition have a website also. If you Google Florida Suicide Prevention Coalition, we're actually in transition. So our new website's about to be launched, and we will have some support resources put up there for loss survivors. But any grief group, a bereavement group that an individual would like to join would be helpful, I think, for someone who's lost someone to suicide. And there are also lots of resources through the Suicide Prevention Resource Center and through AFSP, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
Lots out there. Tabitha, would you say that life is a gift?
Life is a gift. It is, I would say that. Once you realize what it is and what you should be doing with it. A lot of people I know don't feel like that right now. That's why it's so important that they talk to someone, because not everybody is comfortable talking to a therapist or a counselor or going to therapy. So I'm very much appreciative that we have the Veterans Crisis Line, and as well as the text number, which I've used myself. There's a number you can just text, and somebody will text you back confidentially and anonymously as long as you need it and as many times as you need it. I think that's a great resource to have for people that just need someone, but they're kind of timid about going out to get help.
We had that number up on the screen, so it's almost like instant messaging.
Yes.
You can just sit there and talk with someone I didn't know about
and
this.
These are certified counselors. They're there to help you.
Wow.
And there's the same service available for any member of the population. That one's specifically for veterans. And there's also 741-741, which is for anyone. It's a crisis text line.
So you just text and you say, I'm having a hard time, I'm thinking about this situation, or I'm...
You can even just text hello or start or hi, just something to get the conversation going. You don't even have to say anything initially if you want to just start and connect with someone.
So there's an example of social media helping.
Yep.
And what do you have final thoughts on as you see more people in the community? What would you like to tell our audience this evening?
Awareness brings change, and that there is hope. We're in this together.
All kinds of resources and at Lakeview?
Yes, yes. All you got to do is make that call, show up. We're there. We're ready to be a part of your team for individuals who are suffering and for individuals who have lost someone.
Connie, if somebody is interested in Pathways for Change, what would they do?
The best number is just give us a call. You can ask for me, 850-637-1429. And would love to talk to you about your interests. And I've heard that, these 12 beds that you had are expected to fill up rather quickly. So you'll probably be needing additional resources in the future? volunteers. It would be wonderful to bring a birthday cake, a hot meal for the women. We're going to be building a serenity garden. We've got all kinds of plans.
That sounds really nice. What about things at PSC?
We have gatekeeper trainings for students, faculty, and staff every term. Suicide Prevention Day, World Suicide Prevention Day is September 10th, so we usually do something during Suicide Prevention Week just to build awareness, bring education, and let people know it's okay to talk about how you're feeling.
And you've learned that it is okay to talk about what you're feeling.
It is okay to be not okay. And I wanted to make note too that Active Heroes has, on their website, activeheroes.org, they have a map of where veterans and their family members can go to talk to peer mentors like me, wherever they are in their area. And it has our contact information, so you can just talk to somebody, and if it's for a friend or if it's for yourself. It's that somebody, that friend that's not a counselor or a therapist.
We've got
won't judge you.
That's wonderful. We've got about 30 seconds. Any conclusive thoughts here? Any final takeaways you'd like to leave with our audience?
Just thankful for being here.
I appreciate you being here. And I think I've heard the word from all of you a number of times, hope, right?
Yes,
okay.
There is hope.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, we want to thank our panel for taking time out of their busy schedules to talk with us about suicide and its prevention. Connie Bookman, Tabitha Nichols, Rachelle Burns, and Sweneda Berrian. Your conversation has been enlightening, and we thank you all for your service to our communities. It's a good idea to look for further educational materials so that you can recognize the signs of suicide and know where to get help. It's also important to support all of the people working to assist individuals and families dealing with suicide. There are many community resources available. We've been telling you about those. If you or someone you know needs help dealing with suicide, please take action. We've been showing graphics and lots of information throughout our show. We're running through them again as I'm closing out tonight's broadcast. But if you missed them, look for this edition of inStudio Suicide Prevention on the WSRE TV website or on YouTube. You will be able to watch again there, and you will also be able to forward the link to this show to others you may wish to have see our broadcast and receive this information. I trust that you've learned something during our discussion tonight and will take away important information from this broadcast. On the next inStudio, July 27th, please join host Ramika Vincent-Leary with the topic Anti-Semitism and Remembering the Holocaust. I'm Sherri Hemminghaus Weeks. I'll see you on a future edition of inStudio, or maybe on our show in your own backyard. There we take you to many interesting places and share with you the amazing sights and scenes along the greater Gulf Coast. I sure hope you'll come along. Until then, be well.